Hello, Facebook. Thanks for checking in. I am here with Kassie from Affordable Photography. I'm going to link her in a minute, but we're going to talk about everything that you want to ask when you're trying to find your wedding photographer for your wedding day. So it's going to be all those little questions that you might think are small and you're not sure about asking, and Cassie's going to help us out and help us answer those. We're also going to talk about what it's like to try and find the right photographer for your wedding day, because obviously everybody's weddings are very different. So I'm going to add her in now so that she can join us and we can get started. Hello, Kassie. Hiya. Everything's working well. Your microphone's okay. Let's just give it a take. Yeah, that's fine. If everyone can hear her, then just give us a like or a comment or something, just so we know that you can hear us and everything's okay. But we've got one viewer so far, so hello to the one viewer. If you are viewing this on Facebook, I can't necessarily see who's commenting. You'd have to go on the live stream that's underneath where it says allow to be seen. I think it says something like accept StreamYard viewing. If you accept that, that way when you comment, I can actually see your name. So Leah's already done it, so I hope that made sense. So if you're watching, there'll be a little link at the bottom. All you've got to do is click accept and I'll be able to see who's actually commenting. Otherwise it will just say Facebook user and I'll be like, thank you, Facebook user, I don't know who you are. Hopefully people, that makes sense. Right, so we'll get started. So Kassie, tell me about yourself. Tell me all about affordable photography.
So it's 10 years I've been running.
Yeah.
And it started off newborns. I live, breathe for babies. I love the little ones. But things don't always run in the same way they used to anymore with the meet a man, get married, go home, have babies. So a lot of my baby customers say, we really love you. You're so comfortable. You're great with kids. Can you come and do our wedding? And that's how we got started. And so we've progressed onto that. And I love it. Every wedding's different. Every newborn is different. But the people they're all lovely. So it's the best job in the world.
Oh, lovely. So over the course of your 10 years that you've been open, how long have you how much of that would you say you would do weddings for over those 10 years?
4 years.
You've done 4 years of weddings.
Yeah.
Wow, great. That's really good then. So what we were going to talk about today was, obviously this is a video for clients out there and people who are trying to find the right photographer for their wedding day and they just don't really know what they're supposed to ask them or anything or how to find the right one, because like me and you know, there are so many different styles when it comes to finding a photographer.
It's a big day and you'll only have the one, so you've got to ask as much as you can.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with, obviously choosing the theme and the stars for your wedding. It's like that. There's so many out there. How do you know what one you want to have? So finding a photographer who knows what they're taking photos of is very important. So I've got some questions. Let's start you off with it. So how do you describe like your style at affordable photography? What kind of?
I'm not going to say cheap and cheerful, but you all know what I mean. I will give you all the memories that you need, and I will try and make it as bespoke as I can for you, so that you can go home and keep them forever. But I will also do it at the best price I can. I will make it as affordable as I can, so that the clients get what they need, and I feel like I'm helping out a bit as well. As long as everybody's in a win-win situation, everybody's happy, that's what my main aim is. So I'll try and cater everything. If you have a smaller budget, we can give you a smaller package. It doesn't have to be the full day. Not everybody wants pictures of everybody throughout the whole day of their wedding. Some people just want their ceremony. So, it's an affordable service, but I'd like to think with a professional outcome.
Yeah, definitely. Amazing. What kind of style then do you like to shoot the most? Did you say you're quite candid, or you're quite sort of a documentary kind of style of photography, or how would you say?
I'd say versatile. So I don't have the style. I have my way, which I'm sure other people will pick up on. But I'd like to think that if I've got a bride and groom come to me and they're a really good laugh and they really want some really off the cuff random memories, bride being picked up and thrown around, and I've had one bride that I had one bride that really wanted a specific picture of her husband down on one knee doing up a pair of Converses. As long as they communicate, I will try and give them the style I want. What I will say is I am not a professional, full-time, 100% every day wedding photographer where they come and they bring 3 photographers with them and they've got a videographer and everything is posed. I do like to think that I'm going to get it as you remember it. You know? So there's a small section in the day where, you know, we will take you away and we will get those nice intimate moments, but the rest of the day I'm hoping that you're enjoying your day as much as you can and I just capture that.
Yeah.
So, you know,
well, that's the thing, it's so important, because even though you want those photos of, you know, all your bridesmaids and your groomsmen and all your family, you still want to remember that you're there to enjoy a day. It's not a photo shoot, it's your wedding.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know, you're all coming together just to have the photos done, and then, you know, you want to get it so it's off the cuff and everyone's enjoying the day, and then they'll look back and go, oh my God, I didn't even realise that. I'm so happy got
that. Well, I know what we were talking about, you know.
Yeah, that's it. It's lovely. So do you think it's important when a couple are looking for their photographer? So say they've seen an ad online, the price is really, really low for the average photographer, which we know the average packages with photography are around sort of 1,500 and upwards.
Yeah.
If they're a lower package, do you think it's important to sort of investigate that a bit more and find out about that photographer's experience?
100%. 100%. I will book a wedding until we've met in a natural coffee shop having a chat, and I want to meet everybody before they'd even book me. And I would suggest that you do the same as a bride and groom. You know, if you meet a photographer and you don't get the right vibe from them, no matter what price it is that package, it might be affordable, you're not going to get the pictures that you really love because you're not going to feel comfortable. So as long as you know, you meet your photographer and you think, oh yeah, they know we're on the same page, we've had a chat, you know, we feel natural, we feel relaxed around them, 100% the pictures are going to be far beyond what you need.
Yeah. You know? No, definitely. I think you're right. It's very important to, I wouldn't say like have a massively good, like you don't have to have a great friendship with like your photographer, but to have some sort of relationship where you are comfortable. Yeah.
You know,
at the end of the day, they're photographing you like on the most important day of your life.
Yeah.
So it's important to feel comfortable around them, especially when they're whipping out their camera on your wedding day. You don't want to feel a bit shy around that person.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable being in front of the camera, you know. And if you've got someone that you've met beforehand, then you know who's coming, you know their face, you know what they sound like, you know what there's to expect. You've had that conversation, you automatically feel a bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, I try to be as friendly, so almost becoming friends with all my clients. I know all my clients on a deeper personal level than just a paycheck.
Yeah.
And it's a big compliment that comes back to me is that you know, we feel like we know you, so it doesn't feel like we're standing there being posed. And I do think it's a huge plus and bonus for all wedding photographers to get to know their clients.
So they can have a laugh with them and enjoy the day as well, isn't it? It's about them enjoying it. They're photographers, they want to have fun. It's a day at work. So what would you say about couples out there that do have a specific style? To say they were really into sort of like film photography and that's an absolute must and that's what they wanted to do, but they're trying to save money. Do you think it's better to maybe find somebody that's within their budget and talk them through the kind of photos that they want done, or to pay the bigger price and get someone who's experienced in doing that set type of photography?
If that is what your style is on and that is what you want from your day, I would try and find your research to find someone who does that style, first of all. Then I would talk to them about what they can do for your budget. I would never encourage anybody to go over a budget. Budgets are there for a reason. But if that is your, you know, I've got that set on, that's my dream childhood pictures that I want on my wall, I put it in my head and I'm focused on that, I would research that style before I researched the price. Yes. You know, if you've got a really strict budget, you can find someone in that budget. They will probably do their best to get what you've described to them. But if that's not their natural style of photography, you might be really disappointed. And that would be awful because you can't redo the day.
That's it. It's true. I do think as much as, you know, some, I think new coming sort of people that have broken into sort of doing photography, obviously people need to start off somewhere, and prices are going to be lower. They're not going to charge, you know, £1,000 upwards with packages, because they're trying to make things progress slowly, so it takes time. But having said that, it doesn't necessarily mean they don't have such a strong background in a set of photography. Just being that they're one from them to get, you know, gain more experience doing the wedding. So if I'm speaking to my clients and they're saying, look, we really want this style of photography, we're worried about our budget, just research that person as much as you can. And I always think, I don't know how you feel, but it's very important when meeting with the photographer to ask for a full album of a wedding. Because most photographers, I don't know if you're like this, are going to show you the best images they've taken. That's what they're going to show you. You know, like some, I've do, and they pick out the photos that they think are the best ones that they've taken and show you this, when actually you've got a book of all the best photos they've taken, and that might not necessarily be what your wedding album is actually going to look like, because it's going to be from the whole day. So I've always said to look at a full, from start to finish, you know, makeup right to the end of the reception, wedding album. Look at what someone has paid for and got, and that way you know what you're actually paying for and what you're going to get in the end.
That's good. I don't do an album.
Oh, okay.
No, so I don't do an album at all. So one of the reasons I can keep my prices affordable is I don't have to get an album filled. I don't have to print off anything. If I keep everything digital, I'm saving my costs, which are the same discounts and the savings I can pass on to them.
Yeah.
So if someone was coming to book me, I have printed off a few pictures of my style, what I've done in the past, pictures of how I take detail down, pictures of bridal prep, and I will show them. So as you said, there probably are the best of my images, but it's more for them to know what my style is to expect. Because they're not going to get an album from me. They're not going to know everybody's digital album.
Well, I mean, even if it's a digital album, sometimes it's worth asking, you know, can I see someone's full digital album instead of...
I've never just asked. It's very interesting. No.
Because I just think that's something that I did as well. Like when I was picking out my photographer, that's something that was really important to me, was making sure that all of the photos...
You didn't...
I wanted to see a full collection. Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to see a small chunk. I want to see a full collection, but it's just worth asking. I think most photographers are quite open and quite relaxed, and are more than happy to show you. Yeah, exactly, and show you those. But what would you say if... No, it's all right, darling. You have a rest. Have your tea. I might have one, actually. I've got a mocha. What have you got?
I have a mint hot chocolate.
What?
Yeah.
You're upstepping me with your hot chocolate. It's not fair. I've only got my little mochas that I normally have. Shout out to Asda. That's literally what they are. They're like the £1.75 little boxes of mochas. But they're nice. They're cheap and they're lovely. So let's talk about Pinterest.
Pinterest.
Yes.
I love a Pinterest client.
I know. See, I think I have spoken with some photographers that are friends. I'm really sorry if you can hear that, guys. If you can hear building work, can you hear that?
No, we're all good.
Oh, okay, good. There's just my downstairs next door neighbour. He's like doing a building thing, but it's fine. It's been going all day. But I have spoken to sort of friends that are photographers and other suppliers, and they've sort of mentioned that Pinterest can be a love-hate sometimes. Like 1 minute it's really, really good, and you meet a bride who's like, who knows exactly what she wants, and it's great. And then sometimes it can be a little bit, I wouldn't say overbearing, but maybe like a lot. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, well, I love a Pinterest bride. I do love a Pinterest bride because it gets my creative juices going. I'm like, oh yes, I love that. I'm going to do that. That's amazing. If they show me something that I can clearly see is highly photoshopped, or it's not going to be doable in the season that they've got their wedding, then I'll quite happily say I'm not going to get that picture. And more often than not, they're like, don't worry, you know, they've got a Pinterest board that's as long as an arm. So it's just a rough idea. And it also helps me know exactly what they like. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's really good. I love that. What a great board. We can do that for sure. I will then go and find all that stuff, make a little document I hang on my camera and go, yeah, we'll give that a go. Yeah, we'll give that a go. And, you know, if it's doable, I'll tell them on the booking date, can do that. If it's not, then I say I can't, you know?
Oh, yeah, I'm the same. I absolutely love Pinterest brides, especially when it comes down to sort of planning people's weddings. If someone comes to me and is more, but to be honest, I like the best of both, really. Like, I don't mind brides that are very, I'm not sure what style of wedding I want. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to look. I don't know what my budget, And I'm like, yes, I will help you and do all of that. But then the other scope is I'll meet brides or groups or couples that are very like Pinterest.
This
is how they want their day to go. And I'm like, yeah. Sometimes it's just easier because it's almost like, it sounds bad, but it's almost like just sort of checking it off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, tick, that's good, that's done. But I guess with photography, it's different, like you said, with lighting or the venue space. You have to take all those things into account. So I guess it's a bit more difficult when it comes to sort of Pinterest.
It's good fun. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I do as well, actually. I love it. Okay, cool. So what about sort of lists then? So sort of going off the back of Pinterest, we were talking about people making lists. Do you have people that are quite adamant on certain lists of an absolute must in terms of who they want photographed? Do you think that that's quite important so that you know who's an important family member? You don't want to miss anything.
Let me get something. So this is what I bring to a wedding meeting.
Right.
So it's 3 pages, nothing too big, but I actually have on there, it's probably back to front on there, sorry, a list.
Yeah.
And it's every eventuality of family members that you can have. And I encourage them on the meeting, say, tick off everything that you need and tell me any more. Because what I would be devastated to get to the end of a wedding, finish the album, think that's absolutely beautiful, and then realise, oh my goodness, I've forgotten the bride with her grandparents. You know, but you're never going to redo the day. You'll never get it back. Oh no, where's Nat gone? Does everyone still hear me? Can someone give me a comment if I'm here all by myself?
Hello, I'm coming.
You're coming.
I'm coming. My son has put his phone on charge and taken my laptop charger out, hasn't he? I am so sorry. I'm coming back. I'm sure I am. Hang on, let me remove myself and I'll come back in. 2 seconds. Okay. Kassie, you're going to be on your own for a sec, okay?
I'm holding the fort, taking it over. That's all right. Well, now that I'm a host, hasn't... Oh, hi, Sarah. I can see your comment. Hi. Hello. Yes, I did do your wedding. And candid shots and formal shots. Your picture of all of your family. That is still on so many of your family's Facebook. I love it. That was my favourite. I love it. And children at weddings. That's a good question.
Right, I'm back. Am I back? Hello. I'm so sorry, guys. Everything's fine. My computer just decided to take a nap very quickly. But I'm back. So we're carrying on. Everything's good.
Oh, good.
So you're showing me your list that you take.
Yes, so I said, because I don't want to get to the end of your day, be absolutely devastated that I've forgotten the bride and her grandparents. Because we can redo the day, we'll never get that picture. And it's important. So if I have that list, you know how chaotic it is after your ceremony, you've got sort of 30 odd poses of different family members. Mm-hmm. If you're standing there and you've got 60 guests watching you take these pictures, you'll forget. So I always ask for either a best man or a bridesmaid, maid of honour, point of contact to be my helper to gather who we need from this.
Usually me. If people have me.
I normally end up using a guest because they know who Uncle Pete is and Steve, you know. The wedding, you know, the people on site at the wedding venues don't know. They know as well as I do who they people are. And then after we've done those formals,
because when I work with clients, I get that list as well.
Yeah.
So I get the same list that the photographer would get of the family members, And then on the day I might ask, I don't know, the same as you, like a family member to go around and let's gather everybody up and move things forward and make sure the day's sort of going smoothly. But it is good. It's definitely important to have those photos taken, like you said, because it's a once.
I think I've never met anyone who's objected to having a list.
Yeah.
It's always been a part of the natural course of a booking. I would definitely recommend it, because on the day you won't remember on the day. There's so much to do. There
is. Sometimes you don't eat even. So, you're so busy running around, so many people. I didn't eat on my wedding day. We were absolutely manic. I didn't eat. Me and Nick did not sit down or have any food. And everyone was eating and I was just like, talking to everybody, and I don't remember having any food. But hey, what are you going to do? Okay, cool. So with fees, actually, I had one more part to the images that we were talking about. Are there any kind of like do's and don'ts, do you think, for couples when they're approaching their photographers to maybe ask or talk about when it comes to picking images? Like, do you think there's any do's and don'ts about that?
Do's and don'ts of picking images?
Well, things like if they come to you and they sort of say, right, this is the list of all the people I want photographed, Yeah. Do you think there's any sort of, okay, you can ask those things, or maybe you wouldn't ask that kind of question? Or do you think just ask who you like? Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. If you're going to ask a question, which is obviously something that you need to ask because it's a question in your head, if someone on the other side of your wedding planning is either going to refuse or be offended by that question, then they're not the right person for your wedding.
No, that's it. Yeah.
I can't off the top of my head think of anything that you shouldn't ask. If you've got that question, ask it. You get an answer. Whether you like the answer or not is going to determine what you do with that answer. But definitely ask the question.
So you don't think there's anything sort of like what about when it comes to Pinterest? You don't think there's any sort of like don't images that they can try or anything like that? You're quite an open photographer?
It's absolutely 100%. In my opinion, that's your day. Everybody.
No, I completely agree. This was just a question that I had sent in from a client who said, is there any don't things that
I would feel upset.
Yeah, if they held back and you missed something. Yeah.
If a bride, I don't know, I'm off the top of my head now. If a bride said to me, I'd really like a picture up a tree, but I don't want to say that because they'll think I'm strange, that I would feel
ask.
I would love, ask.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, definitely. I just want to make sure that when I came back in that we're still actually rolling live. I'm just
a little in the corner.
I have as well. I'm just going to go on my page on my phone just to doubly make sure, because I don't want to do this and then I'm actually not. Oh, it says that I am, so it's just catching up. Okay, well, let's just hope that we are actually live. I should be. But if we are, Leah, if you're watching, can you actually just send a comment really quickly, just if we are?
And Sarah, if you're watching.
And Sarah, yes, I saw that. Cassie did our wedding and she was fantastic. We got some great candid shots as well as the formal shots. Cassie's also great ideas, different poses. Oh, lovely. I've got a question about that actually very soon about poses. Fees. We were talking about fees and those couples on a budget. What do you sort of suggest that they sort of keep for their budget wise for photography? What would you say?
Different for a budget.
Yeah.
Whatever their budget is, stick to that budget. It depends.
Oh, Sarah's still here. Hello.
Thanks. It depends how important the photography is in your wedding. Some people's main focus on a wedding will be flowers. Some people's main focus will be food. It's everybody's different. But if you've worked out your budget, I mean, someone like you are going to help people with that anyway.
Yes, I always say don't scrimp on the photos or the videography. That is literally the final memory you're going to have of all the planning of all the day that you've done.
If you don't have your photos taken, you won't remember those flowers that you've booked. You won't remember the clothes that you had. You won't remember what shoes and perfume and jewellery that you had on.
Yeah.
I'm there to make sure that every single other penny that you spent on that day is remembered forever.
Doesn't go to waste, basically, isn't it? And even, it's even the facial expressions, like what your groom's face looked like when you came down the aisle. It's not necessarily going to stay in your mind forever. And then you can look back on a photo and be like, oh, like, look at this picture of us, like we've got married. Like, I love looking through my stuff. It's very important. I think videography is also becoming quite a big part of weddings now. I opted for that straight away because I just really, really liked the idea of having a wedding film done, and I got a photographer as well. But I noticed that there are some photographers now coming around that do offer both in their packages. So they do like short, like the 2-minute sort of highlight films. And they also do sort of photography as well. But I think those are definitely the main part that you are going to have to hold on forever of your wedding day. And, even when you're not around anymore, they're going to be there for your grandchildren, for everybody to see. So it's so important that, especially if, like what we said about styles, especially if you know for a fact that you want an artistic photographer who makes, who sort of does a lot of editing and can make the sky look pink and stuff like that you want. Don't necessarily try and make a saving in that part. Try and see what other aspects of your wedding
somewhere else.
Exactly, that you could make a saving on somewhere else, and maybe even a bigger saving than you would necessarily with a photographer. So stuff to think about with that. I've got some questions that we got sent in. So Kassie got some sent in, and I did as well, from our Instagram and our Facebook feed. So I'll start with the first one, and these first few actually are from one of my clients, that says most recommended photos to have done are. What do you think the most recommended photos are to have, Kassie?
Bride and groom, 100%. The main part, the bride and groom is the main photos. And I also think, because of the 2020 that we're going through, immediate family has become crucial. I've had a lot of people and brides that have moved over now to 2021, and where they've had a previous list of friends and friends and a picture with their work colleagues, they've cut them out. And they've said, we've got less people at our wedding now, but I really want a picture of my grandparents. And I really want a picture with, my parents. So direct family, people who are going to be in your lives forever. They're the most important pictures. Alongside, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of bridegrooms now have already got their own children together.
Yes.
Pictures of them with their children.
Yes, definitely. I think I agree with you. I think they're the most important definite images that you definitely want to get. And it's nice it's lovely to have all the intricate parts of your day that you wouldn't necessarily spot, like nice sort of decorated frames and your wedding shoes and your wedding rings and your flowers and the aisle and stuff like that. I also have a do for a wedding image. I don't know how you feel about this, Kassie, or whether you've done this before, but I love the first look photos. Have you done those? Pardon?
The first look from your.
No, so it's a first look. So what happens is before the guests, so while the guests are arriving, the bride's ready and the groom are ready, they come to a separate part of that venue. So it could be in a room or a nice outdoor garden area where none of the guests can see anybody, but they can have photos of their first look of each other in all the bride and all her dress.
Meeting married.
Oh, yeah, it's very, very, very popular in America. We nearly had it done, but I actually was late. So they were like, Natalie, you need to get... I was like, running down the aisle. But, it is a very popular thing to do in America. So, basically, they just sort of... so the groom will, sort of stand with his back, back to back. So they're standing back to back, and then... or the bride's standing back and the bride will come along behind the groom and then tap him on the shoulder. Yeah, they're really good. You should look at them. I'm going to send you loads of pictures now. When we get off this, I'm going to be like, look at these, what I mean, and show you.
Add it into my list.
Yes, first looks are I just think it's...
How romantic.
Pardon?
How romantic. All by yourself.
It's lovely. And some of them do them with their children as well, so their kids can see and be around for that as well. It's quite nice because it's hard because I'm conflicted with my traditional head, which is like, I love the groom seeing the bride come down that aisle and all the guests seeing his reaction or the other half's reaction, whether it be, groom's getting married or bride's getting married. the couple just seeing each other in front of all their guests for the first time. But then on the other hand, having that private moment where they can just sort of be themselves and not feel too nervous. And it's just them two, photographer and videographer, just seeing each other, and they have like a cuddle and stuff, and then they go off and do the wedding, which I think sometimes.
I wonder how sort of the vicar and the registrar feel about that here. I wonder how much has that popped up, because they're quite traditional.
Well, weddings are getting more and more modern and more very DIY. So I think, to be honest, I don't think that they would. I don't know. I'm not too sure how they would feel if it was a religious ceremony. I know that if you have a specific religion and there's tradition there, family members might feel a bit like, you know, let's keep it traditional, and you come down the aisle or whatever it is that their tradition is. But I know for sort of, you know, more laid back sort of ceremonies, it might be something to think about. I just think they're lovely. Honestly, if anyone's interested, go on First Look, like photography, like bride and groom. It's so cute. But yeah, so that was one thing that was like, oh, maybe get that. But I've got another question. It's on the same lady. So she's actually getting married in autumn time. And she wants to know ideas for having her photos done on her wedding sort of in the winter months, if it's like, you know, rainy and dark earlier and things like that. Sort of how can you go around that?
It is more difficult. But in terms of more difficult, it's only through time, the amount of time that you've got, not necessarily what your pictures you're going to get. So as long as she is researched and she knows that she's going to get outdoor pictures, there might be beautiful autumn colours. I did one last autumn in High Wycombe, and it was beautiful. You know, all the colours in the background. It was great.
I love autumn. It's my favourite time of year.
Obviously, you're going to have to be aware that the ground might be stodgy. So maybe have a pair of flat shoes with the bridesmaid of honour or something, so that you can get to these lovely locations. And
a bridesmaid to pick up your dress.
Yeah, it's not all a glamorous walk to where you need to. Things that you could do if there's raining, if it's potentially going to rain in that month, invest in a great umbrella.
Yes, I love umbrella photos.
Nice, beautiful umbrella. That's a beautiful picture. Usually venues that have enough commercial openings, they will have floodlighting, and they will have lighting. So if you can get the right places, floodlights behind you making silhouettes in rain is gorgeous. Going down really nice and low, there'll be puddles on the floor, so you get a nice reflection from the couple. That's amazing. So as long as you know you're going to expect weather like that, there's things that we can do to get these pictures. Also, daylight weddings, so winter weddings, have more things like sparklers. They might have more things indoors. So ask your venue, where have they got indoors, which is beautiful. You're not going to be the first winter wedding at your venue.
No, definitely not. They would have done them before, unless they're a new venue. You might be.
Ask them. I'm sure, you know, it will be the same question that was asked the years previous by other winter weddings.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Answers for both you and a photographer.
Yeah, and there's so many ideas you can do as well. Say if the weather was absolutely horrid and there was no way you could have your photos outside or something, and like Kassie said, if you're having it indoors, think of all the little things that you could do to make the space really, really nice. You know, work with your planners or work with the venue and see what you can come up with. You could come up with like a little like hot chocolate station, and it could be like a really nice sort of place to have some photos taken and have some nice blankets out, things like that. You've just got to be a bit more creative, haven't you, I think?
Plan for it. That's what I would say. If you planned a winter wedding,
especially English weddings,
every weather that you could get.
Yeah, especially in UK, because our weather changes constantly. So
I got married in January, and I had planned for a snowy, beautiful winter wedding, and it was beaming sunshine all day, which was great. It was great, but it was not what I had planned. So the weather could do anything. So just plan for everything that's possible in those months.
Try and stay one step ahead and ask for help. Don't feel like, I don't want, you know, sort of couples out there sort of being, you know, oh, I'm not sure, you know, your venues that are doing your wedding and your planner or whoever you have are there so that you can ask them all these kind of things and ask for help and ask your photographer, ring up your photographer. You know, ask if they've got a free quick 10 minutes that you can call them and ask, you know, what would we do if this happened? Do you have any idea of, because they might also have taken photos at that venue before.
Yeah.
They might know areas that you haven't even thought about, which would be good to get photos inside. So it's always worth asking, because you just never know.
Always.
Yep. Any photos that a couple regret not having? That was another question from my client, but I'm guessing it's kind of falls under making sure you're getting those photos of your family. Yeah.
Family photos of you together.
Yeah.
I've had, you know, it's a very short period of time where a bridegroom might turn up in a car. And they'll get the picture outside the car or something, and then they think, oh, I really would have wanted a picture of my dad helping me out the car, rather than just pictures of you outside the car.
Or in the car. Yeah.
If you've made your list and thought about it, add it to it. We can always do it.
Yeah.
You know? I try and take pictures throughout. I mean, I would take in a normal wedding, although you might get, from me, between sort of 200 and 400 digital images. It's huge. I might have taken 2,000.
Yeah.
So if I haven't put it in your final album of what I would think is a good timeline of your day, also ask your photographer. They might not have thought that picture was important, but to you it was. So ask whether they've got it and they just didn't put it in their final archive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, because that is something that doesn't sort of cross your mind immediately when you get your timeline and your album or your digital album back and you look at it and think, oh, these are all the photos from our wedding. It doesn't necessarily mean that all the photos taken. They're just the ones that have been sort of given because you guys, selected. So, yeah, no, that's a very good point. Most flattering angles. Actually, the question was most flattering angles, hints and tips for the camera to not look like a potato. Which we all have done. I look like a potato most of the time in my photos, so
yeah. Right, most flattering angle. I had a bride a few years back who did not like her side profile. Was flat out, don't take a picture of me from the side.
Okay.
I
like that she was that specific and knew.
Yeah. She was like, no, not keen on the bridge and all that.
Okay.
I like the front on. So I just kept that in my head. Oh, she doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. Didn't mean that every time I saw a picture of her enjoying herself like this, I didn't take it. I still took it.
Yeah.
And I still put it in. But I made sure that every single posed image I had, she knows that I've paid enough attention to not put her in that position. You know? Yeah. So it doesn't mean, oh, I'm not taking it because she's turned sideways and she's told me that. So if you know what way you feel comfortable, what way you think you look best, let them know so that they're not actively putting you in a pose. You know, I would normally do a picture where they would put bride and groom or whoever's getting married as forehead to forehead. They look down. It's very romantic. But if my clients told me I really don't like the side of my face, my profile, I know not to put that in. So then I had the groom leaning against her like that, smiling, and she was looking at me. And actually, the picture was amazing.
Oh, that sounds really nice, actually.
You know, if she hadn't told me. So,
yeah, it's all about going around it, isn't it? What you do and don't like. If you know your flaws as well, like, let's face it, I can sit here and say, you know, be happy, be confident and love yourself. But at the end of the day, we all have little nags and things that we don't like about ourselves. I don't particularly like my side profile, and I'm absolutely horrendous with my chin situation because my face is very round. So when I try and take photos, this is what I do. I'll show you. So I put my chin out and then go to the side and then down a bit, but not too down that you can see that. But also, where this camera is not at the best angle. You would be here. So you can't really see. I instantly look a bit more thin. But it's a mixture because you want to be confident in yourself on your wedding day and you want to feel great. So don't worry about it too much. And also, I think a lot of photographers are quite sort of handy with editing things now, aren't they? So even if you've had, like, I don't know, you've got a spray tan done and it's just a little bit too many layers or something like that, hopefully tone that down for you if anything else pops up like that. So something, again, that you can speak to your photographer about. Oh, got a comment. I don't think having a photographer, that says it's from me, but I actually do think that that's from a friend. I didn't think having a photographer was too important. But not only do you not see everything the photographer sees, but being photographer is so busy that day, it's hard to remember anything without those pictures. Lucky my wife knows better. It's true. I think that that's my other half at work because he's one of the admins on my page.
I was going to say,
Yeah, I think that's Nick, and he shouldn't be watching me. He should be busy making a wardrobe. But yeah, it's hard. Yeah, here we go. Go on his page now. But I think it is hard. Sometimes one partner might not want a photographer or a videographer there, and they might think it's some people as well. I don't know if you've had this, Cassie, but I've had clients before where they've actually said that family friends are going to do the photos.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear that, I'm like, okay, have they got any experience at all whatsoever? Some of them might, they might have done a photography degree.
And a friend who's a photographer.
Right, but it doesn't mean that that friend is going to get those photos for you.
And also bear in mind that they won't be in the photo.
Exactly. They're going to be it's a very busy job. They're going to be running around doing things, making sure all the family are gathered where they need to be. They're not going to be able to actually soak up and enjoy the day. They're going to be doing your wedding photos because you've asked them to do them. But it's not, in my opinion, I really, really try and steer away from this.
Sort of.
Yeah.
And this is a touchy one. I will say quite bluntly, please tell all your guests and your friends and family, don't take pictures. If you've hired me and you've discussed what you want and I'm there, your photo will be ruined by people with their iPhones out. Please tell them not to.
I always say maybe you can get signs now to put up.
I'm done. Your turn.
Yeah. And I had a sign, I think, that said, mine was more about sort of posting them on social media. It just sort of said, please save your snaps for when we've had our professional ones done. We want to share those kind of first. But you can put polite notices, even sort of slip it in the invite, but in sort of a funky kind of way. You could put like a little cut out of like a phone and ask the person doing your invitation, their stationery for that, if they wouldn't mind putting a little message in just saying, please no photos. We've hired this lovely lady, Kassie, from Affordable Photography, and she's going to be doing that. You'll see her around. If there's anything that you maybe keep it open so that they can maybe approach you and say, like, if there's anything that they would really like to speak with the couple that are getting married first, then they can pass on to you. I've told my bridesmaid that she can't take any photos, but she's asked if we can have a photo like this. And at least then the bride or the groom can come up and tell you.
I have a picture that I had to spend hours photoshopping because it was the bridegroom walking down the aisle, first look, groom turning around.
The aisle. Put the phone away in the aisle, guys.
Yes, please. I was up by the altar, took a picture. The husband's facing me with tears in his eyes as she's walking down, nicely like blurred in the background. The picture was beautiful. What a memory. The whole front row had iPhones.
No.
And I was photoshopping out all these iPhones, but on top of that, I can't just make the iPhone disappear. They're holding them in front of their faces. Yes. So all of these guests' emotions and thoughts.
You're missing all of that.
Yeah. All gone.
They're all covered. It is so important. I think if you're going to do that, even if you just put please no phones during the ceremony, that is still polite. Like, people can take photos at the evening and whatever they want to do little videos when they're dancing with the DJ. And also most weddings have things like photo booths now. They're very popular in the evening and things like that, maybe when the photographer's gone home. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to miss parts of the evening. It's just, I think, I agree with you, Cassie, with the ceremony, phones, just pop them down. It's like, what, 45 minutes max. Put them away.
That's my big one. I used to feel bad saying it because I felt bossy or I felt...
Yeah.
But honestly, there is no point hiring a photographer if they can't get everybody's faces and reactions.
Exactly.
So I've got this photo. Yeah. Everybody else, you're welcome to take it again now.
Yeah. And even if you are going to take photos and there's someone who's really adamantly wants to take photos during the ceremony or anything, just be aware of your spacing and where you are and where you're holding the camera. For instance, if you're going to take a photo, don't hold your phone like that. Hold it slightly lower, maybe so that it's sort of on your lap or tilted, just sort of like, you know, when you're just try and take it sort of a bit more secretively than what you would do if you were trying to take a normal photo of something. Just so
yeah, I had a flower girl coming down the aisle and everybody poking out the side of the aisles with their phones, you know?
Yeah, no. Oh, bless you, Cass. That must be so hard, the hardest part of your job probably. Just put the phones away.
That's the hardest part of the job, get rid of the phones.
Remember when phones didn't have cameras?
Yeah.
I remember that. And when they did first have cameras, they were so rubbish. They were so blurry. But that's what we need. We need those days back when not everybody has a camera on them. And then you guys...
saying this whole conversation, this late, I don't know if Sarah's still here. I can't see who's on. But Sarah had a guest who took a picture while I was taking pictures. And that's the picture that you've got that I sent you.
Oh, yeah, that's quite nice.
So I went, okay, we'll let that one slide. That one.
That's nice, Ray. that guest done it from sort of behind, didn't she? That's right. I made you sort of standing. So it's not like she's right in front of you trying to get a picture of them or blocking you or in the photo with the phone. It's in the back. So
I've been asked to. So I put like a pose together, and then I've been asked by a guest if I would move over so they can take the picture.
No? Oh wow.
Yeah, and I have that on the back of my sheet now because every time something happens, you've got to add it in, haven't you? Now I actually have this on here saying, basically, I have the priority of each pose, and I will give you that opportunity once I'm done. But then, to ask, for a guest to ask me to move over.
Yeah. No, of course. I think that's good that you've put that in there. That's a good thing. Next question. What happens if I don't like the photos?
This one I get asked every time. What happens if I don't like them? Bluntly, there's nothing we can do. There is nothing we can do. Because they're done. You won't redo the shoot. So you will like the photos I've taken if you have researched and liked everything I've done before. You know, so if you like, oh, I love the photos you've taken, I love the style that you have, we've had a meeting, we really like you, we're really comfortable with you, then you should like it. Everything in your wedding you like. So you love your dress, you picked it. You love your venue because you picked it. You love your flowers because it's what you've dreamed of.
You love your fiance because you've picked him.
You know, your husband should be perfect. You should love everything. You planned it. So if I'm taking a picture of those things, it's guaranteed that you're going to love those. The only pictures that you could say I won't love are pictures of myself, not me, the bride and groom. And if you've already discussed with your wedding photographer what type of photos you like of yourselves, what positions you don't like of yourselves, there's no reason to not like the photos. I get it's a worry. I get it would be a question that comes up, and all I can do is reassure my clients that as long as all of those tick boxes are done, that shouldn't be an outcome.
That shouldn't happen. I mean, the top thing is, like you said, doing your research. Make sure that you're hiring a photographer whose work you like and the stuff that they've sent you that you're happy with. But also, I always say is sometimes if there's the opportunity to have either like an engagement shoot with the same photographer that obviously is doing your wedding,
I do that.
Not necessarily an engagement shoot, maybe just ask if they can come and just do a few, just to make you feel a bit more comfortable, and that way you get more familiar with the photographer who's going to be there on your wedding. You and your partner get more relaxed in front of the camera. So that it's almost like a little trial, isn't it? It's like a little trial.
When I book someone, we put the deposits down, I say, right, we're going to go, you get a free shoot. They'll either be an engagement shoot, could be a save the date shoot, could be something they use with thank you cards after, could be anything. But it's just a nice, relaxed, outdoor, 30 minutes to get to know how we work together. Just so that, as you said, everyone feels comfortable. We know what we like in front of the camera. If you like all of those pictures taken, winner.
Yeah. And if you don't, when you get them back, that's when you can say, actually, with this certain, and don't feel like you can't say that, even if you've had those photos done. If your wedding day is around the corner and you know that they've done photos that you weren't 100% sure about, try and make sure you talk about that, because it's so important. I think if you keep that in and it's something you don't like, obviously there are going to be photos coming back from the wedding that you won't necessarily like. So if you don't speak up, you're not going to get the photos you want.
You've got to say
yeah. So two more questions there.
Offense, you know.
Pardon?
Don't be worried about causing offense.
No, especially those working in the wedding industry. I think sometimes people, obviously, if it's your wedding and it's your first wedding that you're planning, people are so worried about, you know, this is why we're doing this video, so that people can go out there and be like, yeah, I know what I'm going to ask my photographer. I know what I'm looking for. I feel more confident about it, because you're meeting venues, you're meeting florists, you're meeting photographers, everything else. The list goes on, and it can be really daunting about who's right for your wedding. But this is the whole point, is take that time to do your research about each individual so that you know that they're right for your wedding day. What if the photographer is ill?
Yes. So I have this in my contract. Basically, I just think, ask them what happens. What happens if you don't make it? What happens if you're ill? Most photographers, if not all, should have a plan in place.
Yes, they normally have a second shooter, don't they?
Yeah, 100. So I would say in mine, ill to me is on death's door. I'm never not going to turn up because I've got a cold. You know, it's going to have to be something serious that would require me. I physically couldn't get there.
Not get there, yeah.
If that very, very worst case scenario was to ever happen, then I would find another photographer, regardless of whether they're going to be more expensive than I am and how much I've been paid, because it's going to be difficult for me to find someone who may be of the same budget that I am and provide the same service. So I would have to go and find someone who's available, who can give them the same service, and then I will have to just sort out the costing myself, because it would be my fault, my problem, something I've got to fix. Never happened, apart from the whole COVID thing. So that's put new ballpark in.
So the minute you have one symptom, isn't it? It's self-isolation, and that's the issue, I think, with a lot of self-employed people in the wedding industry.
No, I mean, it's a whole new question that's now being put in. What happens if my wedding is affected by COVID? What happens if it's rescheduled through no fault of their own? Then I've had to now put that in. Yep, give me a day. I will reschedule myself. If I can't, I'll find someone else. If I can't find someone else, I'm going to have to refund you. Luckily, these are like in a year's time now. And most brides moved over. I think I had to, unfortunately, refund 2 due to COVID, because the weddings couldn't go ahead, or, you know, they're double booked for someone else who's already booked it in. It was 2021 now. Is hard work for weddings.
I'm really hoping, I'm really hoping, as much as it is a lot, it's going to be a lot for everybody next year in the wedding industry. But I really hope it's an absolute spotlight onto how much everyone who works in the wedding industry does, and how hard we all work, because it's going to be manic next year. And I really hope that everything goes ahead and these weddings get to happen, because I think the more we get closer to going into next year, the more nervous people are starting to get now. I'm nervous too, and I think if I had my wedding booked for, say, summer next year, I'd start to feel like, when are we going to get back to normal? Because we kind of got that far, didn't we? And we've gone back again. So it's one of those things that people just don't know. This is, when it comes to finding your photographer, make sure you're asking those questions, and it's not just about style and budget and all of that kind of thing. It's also about the real logistics of it. What happens if they're ill? What happens if COVID, something like that? What happens with refunds and stuff like that? So make sure there should be. Most photographers have, like what you have, Kassie, don't they? They have like a second shooter. They have backup just in case of their big things like that. So look for that in your contracts, and if it's not there, then ask them about it.
Yeah, ask them. They should have a backup plan.
They should.
I would be very surprised if any photographer didn't have a backup plan for something like that, because you cannot tell me that a photographer is just not going to turn up on your day, give you a call in the morning saying, got a bit of a cold, not coming.
Coming. Yeah, of course.
There should be something. Definitely ask. It's an important question.
Yeah. Last question we've got today is, do I need to pay for a meal for you? I get this as well.
Well, a meal for you?
A meal for you. So do the couple need to pay for a meal for either me or for you at your wedding? I don't know what your reply is.
It's not in my contract. Some photographers will have in their contract that you have to provide them with a meal.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be in there. So ask them. I don't ask for a meal. I don't need one. I will happily bring a packed lunch and find a dark corner to go and eat it in. I'm more than happy. But I am offered it by some brides, and some brides will insist that they feed me.
You know, pay for your sit-down meal.
Yeah, they say, please. You know, we've already budgeted for you to be eating a meal because we've assumed that you would have one. And in those occasions, I will take that meal happily and feel forever grateful. I mean, a gorgeous wedding meal is the best thing to fill you up on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
What do you
feel about, off the back of this, but just really, really quickly, what do you think about sort of tipping as well? Because I'm the same as you. If a client offers food, so like if a client offers me food, if they've put me to say manage their wedding day, and they said, like, do you want feeding? I'm the same as you. I'll bring my own food. Don't worry about me. I am going to be running around making sure everything is.
I'll eat when I can. When there's a spare 15 minutes.
Everybody in the wedding industry just eats where they can and just hopes for the best. So don't worry. But it's like you. If they insist, then I'll politely say yes to some food. But it's not an absolute must. Like, I'm fine with a jam sandwich. It's not the end of the world. But how are you about tipping? Do you accept tips? Do you take them? You don't?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I had a client, not a wedding, but I had a client yesterday, and I hope she tipped me with homemade samosas.
Oh.
Yes. And how can I say no to a tip like that?
Food tips are accepted.
Normally, if I have someone, again, doesn't work quite the same with weddings. If I've had a different client for any of my other types of services for newborns or anything, I might go, oh, we've given you a tip, and they'll transfer an extra £10 or something on top. Thank you, you're amazing, we love it. I will then say, I'm not going to accept it, but I will add in extra pictures to the same value. So they're they're not giving me the money.
They're just paying a bit extra for you to give them more images.
For it. There's no way that I would take money for doing my job. If they turn around and say, we love the pictures, we loved you, you were amazing, and we'll see you again next year for something else.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. That's a tip. That's
the main outcome, isn't it? At the end of the day, is word of mouth and happy customers. So that's number one.
That's that.
But yeah, those are all the questions that I had though, Cassie. Unless you have anything else that you wanted to cover, that's basically it.
Done. I mean, we've done really well. Anyone that sits here and watches us for an hour, I hope it was helpful.
It wasn't meant to be an hour, it was meant to be 30 minutes, but then my computer went asleep for a little bit, didn't it? So I had to come back.
Yeah, I hope that any of your brides and grooms and future clients have found something interesting in it. And if we didn't cover it in this, send us a message, and I'm sure.
Yeah, we can pick up and do another one at some point. Would be good, and talk about all sorts of things. Me and Cassie can talk forever anyway, so that's fine. Right. I guess we better go and get our kids from school, Be mums now.
Yes.
But thanks everybody who watched. Any questions for me or Cassie, just pop them over and we can catch up and do another video maybe at a later time.
Yeah.
Things like that. And enjoy. You've got a giveaway coming up, haven't you, Cassie?
I've got what?
You've got a giveaway coming up today. Is it a giveaway?
Not today. I've got all my new Christmas backdrops, my Christmas photos.
Oh, yes.
So I'll have an abundance of props turning up amongst the Amazon deliveries over the next week. Once I've got all of them, so I've got lanterns and new twinkly lights and log piles and wooden crates.
I need to get a new one then for my little girl because...
Yes. Oh, my goodness. I'm so excited. So once all those turn up, and I've got them all, I'm going to do a model call for Christmas. So it's going to be done in October. Hopefully everything should be arrived by next week. Yeah. And I'm going to need 4 lucky people to come along, get their pictures taken for free, so that I have new advertising for these new Christmas
backdrops. Oh,
yes. So as soon as that arrives, I will pop that up, and I will run a little competition to see who we can get to do some model calls.
Oh, lovely! I'll have to enter that in Veronica Rose's name, because she would. But yeah, oh, bless you. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a really good rest of their day. Enjoy your weekend, Cassie. I'm sure I'll catch up with you soon.
Lovely.
All right. And thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.